Hello everyone, I am Jack and I'm back. And have you ever wanted to destroy a brand new C8 Corvette, but you didn't have the Corvette, you didn't have the time, you didn't have the money, you didn't have the place, any of that stuff? Well, I can't help you there, but you can do the next best thing with me. We are going to destroy a C8 Corvette together. Got a head start on you. There's my C8 Corvette, and some say it's already been destroyed, but we're going to finish it. We're going to put it back together and undestroy it. All right, so a little background. Took this car to a shop. They were supposed to finish it in 3 months. Here it is 2.5 years later. I pick it up from the shop, and this is what I get without the front end that's on there. That front end I made myself. So I'm stuck with what's there, so it's time to fix it. The good thing about a C8 Corvette is most of the body panels just bolt on. You can see from the orange, anything you see that's orange was an original body panel. Anything that's not orange is not original. All right, so I made this front end myself while the car was in the shop for those 2 years because I got tired of waiting for them to do anything. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna give a stab at it. I'll take it down there. They'll get the idea from this and it'll spur them to finish it. Well, I did my part. They didn't do their part. They didn't use it. They hated it, blah, blah, blah. So I took it back. So here it is. And they took my original front end. It's gone. I don't know what they did with it. This originally, I had made a C2 out of the C8, a mid-engine, without the Grand Sport. I just wanted them to do the Grand Sport parts. So that's what I hired them to do. They didn't do it. All right, so I have so many pieces of different C2 body parts. There's one that's going on a C6 right there. It was originally a C2. We're making it into a Grand Sport. Let's see, and then I've got a carbon. That one's mostly fiberglass. This one's carbon fiber because for some silly reason I decided, oh, let's just make it out of carbon fiber instead. Not one of my best decisions. Let's see, there's one of the molds. There is a Grand Sport front end with the fender flare on it. There is a C2 with no fender flare. And I've got various pieces sitting around here as I was trying to Frankenstein things together. You'll recognize some of these. There's the hood, basically the hood scoop off of a C2 Grand Sport. There's a copy of the fender of a C2 Grand Sport. Anyway, the point of this is I've got enough pieces here to piece everything together and make what I need to make. So that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing was to find out what fit the best. And after trying several different pieces on here, including that carbon fiber one, I found out this one was the closest one that fit. Now the fender flares are off. It's around here somewhere. You can see what I do is once I get a part to work, there's the screw holes. I put arrows so I know where the screw holes are. And then I paint a line where that part was so that when I go to reinstall it, I know exactly where it was. I did the same thing here. This is the nose off of a Grand Sport, and then this is a fender off of a non-Grand Sport. So the difference is the non-Grand Sport, the headlights are right here. They're kind of rectangular pocket, and then the nose came out here and like that, so it made a V. The Grand Sport does not have that. It's flat across, and there is a plexiglass or Lexan or whatever lens that goes over this whole area to cover the headlights. So that was one of the major differences. Major, minor, that's a matter of opinion. The other thing, of course, is the fender flares. You can see this doesn't have the fender flares. I did cut it out for the fender flares to mount them. That's why that all is like that. And then the hood is completely different. It's in the shop, so I'm not going to go in there and look at it, but it's in there. It is for the C6, so it's going to require pretty significant modifications to work on the C8 because the hood's so much shorter on the C8 than the C6, which means that the vents are actually too big on it. Oh, what the heck. Let's go see if we can make around and show you the hood. That's what the hood would look like. It's rectangular. All right. I did have those other pieces that you see out there hanging on the wall, but I needed to get them down so that I could use them. Here's one of my Delahaye's that is gotten put on the shelf while I work on the C8. There is an aluminum frame under here and Corvette suspension, so that's on my to-do list. Here is what the Grand Sport hood looks like. These are vents. We're making these vents out of carbon fiber. This is tinted, what they call forged carbon fiber, even though it's not forged, but it's tinted with the red tint, and it has all these different pieces. It's a bunch of pieces of carbon fiber. And then here's the actual vents themselves. They are carbon fiber. And so this has to be made to fit on there. Unfortunately, it's too long. So I'm probably going to leave this part alone, these vents alone, and then shorten this by however much I need to make the hood fit. But that's several steps down the road. Okay, so now you see what we're working with. So now we need to start working. So let me go back out here. Might need to move stuff to help them get through, although I don't think so. I think they're fine. Okay. So the other day, I put the front end on, but of course it doesn't fit. Let's see, the hood opening is approximately the right shape. And again, you can see because of the black right here and the other color, where the hood edge would be. I set it on here and it won't stay. So I use a 2x4 to prop it up, and that works somewhat, but not real well. I ended up taking this side off. So there is that fender, just so I could put it on here and see what's going on and kind of get an idea. The inner fender is right here, and that allowed me to figure out where this front end, the actual C8 original front end, goes. Unfortunately, that piece is missing from this side. The shop lost it or whatever, so it's harder to tell where this goes, but I can see from the other side that it really needs to go, whoops, something like that. All right, again, this thing is kind of precariously balanced on here. All right, so I went to put this front end on. The back edge, ideally this seam right here will line up with, I think it's, yeah, this seam right here, and then this right here, the body feature, would line up with that body feature. But in order to check that, it has to be pretty much mounted where it goes. It's close, it's, I'd say, within an inch, maybe even within a half an inch. Regardless, it needs to be spot on. If that's makes a half inch or even a quarter, any jump right there, it'll be obvious. So that's something I need to work on. In order to work on that, I have to get this front end where it belongs. So like you see, I tried to prop it. If I had another person, I could do this better. If I didn't mind screwing a bazillion holes and everything and mounting it, it would work, but I really don't want to do that any more than I have to. That means that the next step is, how do I mount this thing in its correct location? What I did was I took the orange front end. I was doing the previous part without that orange in there and just trying to line it up. And there was gaps, obviously, because the things don't line up. So I have to fill in the gaps. I also have to make a mounting system. Well, my idea is go ahead and use as much of the factory C8 mounting system as possible. So here is where the C8 actually mounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this piece right here. Now, I don't need the whole piece because you can see that it's going to be covered up when this is in place, but I do need something to mount this gray piece to. If you look at this, there is the edge for the hood. There is the factory C8 edge for the hood. So this right here should go all the way back there. So what is that? 6, 8 inches, something like that. So the whole front end needs to move back 6 or 8 inches. Once I do that and I make a copy of this, then I can screw the two together and I will have a reference. Same thing with the center. Here's the center of this piece. Here's the center of this piece. If I make a copy of this and line up those two centers, that means the front end will be centered. That will solve my issue of where does this side that's missing go. Once I get this and take measurements, I can measure from the center to this peak right here, and then come over here and measure from the center to this, where this peak right here would be. That'll get the front end the same width. Same thing back there. I'll measure that distance and this distance, and with that fender, when I mount it, I'll make sure that everything lines up. I just wanted to show you what I'm working with, and I needed to make sure it would all work, so I put the orange piece on there, put this on here, and I can see that I'm going to do this, but it's going to mess everything up. But this thing needs to come up and back, something like that. And you can see it still needs to go back. If I had another person, I would put them back there and have them lift that up. Oh, and then the other problem is the stuff underneath here. When I pull this off, you'll see all of this stuff below, the C8 vents and stuff, they're hitting the bottom of this. So when I pull this out, all of that stuff is in the way. So I am not going to duplicate that. I'm basically going to do the mounting surface, and then probably to this nose right here. This is right here is probably going to have to be cut off. No big deal. But I'll go ahead and probably just do it up to the edge. Let's see what else was there. I kind of want to go ahead and do this part right here so that I will get this edge right here. You can see that on this, I actually made it match up with the inner fender. So if I could use the factory inner fender, I think that would be a positive. Gives me a place to mount this. So I may go ahead and make this here up to, well, we can get rid of all this. I didn't see this. So we can get rid of all this, and I could make it down, come down like this, and that should work. All right, so my next step is to get my PVA. PVA is polyvinyl alcohol. I cleaned this up a little bit. I didn't do it real good because this is going to be the backside. I'm going to put fiberglass on this and skin this. So the surface that'll look nice is going to be the backside of what I actually am using. The front side will be rough because it is CSM chopped strand matte fiberglass. So I'm just going to have to live with that. I could make a mold off of this and then make a nice looking part, but what's the point? I don't need the whole thing. Maybe later I can do that after I figure out what I need. My goal here is to get things done quickly, not necessarily correctly. And then the second version, I will make real molds and make everything work correctly. Right now, I just want to get further along so I can see if there's any major areas that need redesign or rework or something like that. So after looking at this, I will pull off all of this silver tape that's here. It's from the previous effort, and go ahead and make the skin mold off of this. It will be probably 2 layers of chopped strand mat, which will be under 100 thousandths, should be about 80 thousandths, 90 thousandths, which is enough to hold its shape. So that'll take care of that. All right, it is 4:30. So I can probably get the PVA on there. I doubt I'll be able to do the fiberglass, but progress is progress. It starts getting dark and cold at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, something like that. I could keep working past that, but the other thing is I have to pull all this stuff out of the shop to make room. I was not expecting this car to come back to the shop in this condition. I was expected to be a running, driving, finished car. So I had to clear out things, move things into storage. I will continue that as well, but obviously no reason for you to watch that. let's see, that should be it. Next step, remove the front end, PVA. Make sure the PVA is going to take several sprayings. I've got a sprayer, airless sprayer that works good for that. So I'll go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, clean up the tape and all that stuff. And then get it ready so that tomorrow I can actually put on the fiberglass. There's going to be some challenges, 90-degree edges like this, where that flange is, are hard to do. But again, since I am just going to use it for a mounting surface for this version of it, it's not critical that those be perfect 90-degree angles and no air pockets and all that. I just need places to put screws and then a surface to mount that to. That's my intent. All right, so like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate. And if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know jack. Bye.